All right, welcome back to Waste Some Time with Jason Green. I am Jason Green, and thank you for joining me on this Wednesday. It's a rainy Wednesday here in Las Vegas, at least a cold and rainy Wednesday here in Las Vegas. But I'm here to bring some positivity to your day and maybe a smile or two to your face. Wednesday 13 is going to join me in a minute. We're going to talk about rock magazines today, or even Rocked magazine. I have the newest issue featuring Ozzy Osbourne, a double issue right here. I feel like a kid again. When I pick up a magazine and I start thumbing through it, hard to put it down. The legendary, the world-renowned Mark Weiss, the Weiss guy, is going to join us to talk about this Rocked magazine, which a lot of you guys contributed to funding, and Rudy Sarzo of Ozzy Osbourne and Quiet Riot, to name a few, will also join us right after this. Just wanna waste some time with you. Sometimes it seems too good to be true. Nobody out there can waste time with that. All right, please welcome Wednesday 13. How are you, Wednesday?
Hey. I'm in the middle of a toy tornado rearrangement fiasco, but I'm not letting it get overwhelming to me. I'm taking my time with it, and all is good. Glad to be here.
It looks good. I'm envious of the hangers. I got to get some of those hangers for the action figures.
This is the new thing I got. Check it out. It's a new spinny thing, and I got He-Man's on the other side, and I love it's awesome.
Love it.
Yeah, it was one of those Amazon things. I'm like, I don't know. Should I get it? Should I not get it? I
have action figures stacked, and I don't know where to put them. And
this took everything off my wall. Everything is on this. This is 6 rows of about. I mean, you can see there's. This is the thing. It's $150 on Amazon, and it's like convention. Someone said in the things, oh, it's very difficult to put together. It's 2 pieces.
Very difficult. Some people have different skill levels. Wednesday, I've been thinking about getting a magazine rack like that spins, like they had in the comic book stores and the magazine stores where we went in when we were kids.
I think I'm going to need something like that because I'm going through all my stuff. I got a stack of magazines and Mad magazines and rock magazines. I needed somewhere to display them.
I want to, I'm retro is everything. You want to be in a good mood. You pick up something classic. You pick up your favorite old magazines, your favorite. Looking at things around that remind you of pop culture is definitely put you in a better mood. Wednesday, we're talking about magazines. I have all the issues, I believe, of Rocked magazine, the Ozzy Osbourne double issues, the newest one available. And Mark had been coming on trying to keep magazines alive. Some people have switched now to digital content.
I miss magazines. I've had people bring me magazines on tour. Here's just a stack that I've gotten over the past couple tours. Fit Paraders, Metal Edge. This was my life. This is and I got to be a part of that last magazine run before it went away.
It was what we did, and you would pick one up and you would read everything. And whether it was Metal Edge asking about boxers or briefs, or how do you like your eggs, or whether it was the heavy duty questions, and the pictures. The pictures was first. A good cover brought you in, and so this is a chance to experience. And I think young people missed it and are digging this too. I bet you there's more young people picking up these magazines than anybody, but because they didn't get to experience flipping through a magazine. And news travels so fast now. A concert happens and it's on YouTube in 5 seconds. But there's something about having access. Obviously, Mark Weiss had all access at this event, but and many others, and can show you something that you might not see. The other thing when you're have Mark Weiss status is that you're going to get access to people because they trust you. Wednesday, you've taken 1 million photos. Mark has photographed the murder dolls. But if you trust the photographer, you might be more willing to try their ideas.
Absolutely. And the more you know about them, the better. The longer, I mean, my photographer I use here in town, Annabelle, she's been my photographer for the last couple years. She's awesome, and I know how to work with her. And I'm just, I like sticking with certain people. And when you go to different people, and you want them to be cool, and not everybody is cool.
Yes, and reputation. To say that your picture was taken by Mark Weiss is an honor. I will be honest, I have selfies that Mark Weiss has taken. By the way, the best selfies I've ever seen. He even knows the lighting on a selfie. I mean, I got selfies that look like the cover of Stay Hungry. They're so good.
I can't believe some of the album covers and pictures that he's done. It's like Twisted Sister and Wasp. Just there, you can just where do you go from there? Where do you go from there?
Mm-hmm. And Slippery and Wet, and there's so many others. I mean,
in my world, that's top notch. That's Coke and Pepsi right there. That's top notch.
a friend of mine who's a fan, he goes, I was at this event with John Bon Jovi. This is like back in the day, probably New Jersey era. And he said, I wanted to take a picture with Bon Jovi so bad. And Mark Weiss snapped my photo. And I thought, that now your photo's even more historic. It's you and a young Jovi, but taken by a legendary photographer.
And he did like the Motley Crue, the blood photos, right? Was that the blood ones, or the one with the gangster in front of the car?
Yeah, the colors in those photos are incredible.
Every one of those pictures were on my wall. It was like you wanted to take a photo, and when I'm taking pictures, if I'm ever doing anything elaborate, I'm thinking about those photo shoots, which is something that's why I don't ever see any of my photos like that, because I don't ever get to do anything like that. But I think about it.
And Cinderella Night Songs, another one of my favorites.
Another one, Jesus.
I have a print signed by Mark in my collection.
It's way cool.
We're going to talk about the Ozzy issue a lot because Rudy Sarzo is going to join us. And, I was listening to Randy Rhoads tribute last night. And, Ozzy, Randy is the bass, Rudy, so many people names. Rudy is the bass player on the majority of that album. It's just such an amazing thing to listen to. And then we have, there's other issues too, the David Lee Roth issue as well. These are all at rockmag.com. The link is in the description, and Mark will tell us more about it. I mean, like I said, they become my coffee table books, which I think a lot of people are. I didn't have to go far because they're on my coffee table. Let's get this one.
People need to bring magazines back to the bathroom. Crosswords. Get off your phone. Get into a magazine.
These rock magazines have puzzles and like word searches. I'm not sure if the Ozzy one does that, but I was doing them in the other ones. I'm sitting there with my crayons solving puzzles.
I love solving puzzles.
Yeah, I've been solving puzzles my whole life. Anyway, Wednesday, you've been on the road. I'm glad you're home. You were touring the frozen tundra.
Yeah, and I'm not in that anymore. It's you say it's raining there now. It's been it was raining here crazy the past couple of days, and then today it's been really nice. It's a little chilly out, but yeah, it's nothing like what I was in for 3 weeks solid. It just got worse and worse everywhere we went.
Yeah, touring doesn't choose the the days or the weather. Sometimes you got to go where you're told.
But like I said, all the shows were packed. I mean, it didn't stop people from coming out. That was good to see.
Ray says, I'm kicking myself. I can't remember what magazine had CDs. That's how I found out who Wednesday 13 was, besides Murder Dolls. That was a big deal, too. In Mark's time, vinyl in those magazines.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they did it here in America, but mainly CDs I would have been featured on would have been European stuff, like Kerrang and Metal Hammer for sure put out more than enough Murder Dolls and Wednesday 13 singles and things on there. But yeah, that was Metal Hammer magazine still is one of the best magazines in the UK. It's actually all over the world, I believe, but they keep it pretty top notch everywhere.
Yeah, Lorraine asked the question is why bands tour the Northeast during the heart of winter. Unfortunately, you don't choose the schedule. The promoter's got to keep that venue, and sometimes you
Yeah.
got to.
Well, you know, the headlining band was a German band, and the other band was Canadian. Maybe they didn't think about it being any different. You
They
know,
weren't nice.
I don't know. It was an unusual winter storm for that time, right?
Yeah,
So,
I think so.
you
To
know, I
me,
mean,
and
I've toured, you know, early in the year and stuff, and it's never been anything like that. You have a little bit of snow here or there, but not 3 weeks. You know, I was in, and it's still going on there, right? Is it still snow?
I think so. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think any snow after Christmas I could do without. Once that's over, it's time to move on. We could talk all day about Mark Weiss's accomplishments, but I think it would be better if we talk with Mark Weiss himself. So please welcome Mark Weissguy Weiss. How are you, Mark?
Hey, all right. How you doing, brothers?
What's
Good
up?
to
What's
see
up,
you
dude?
again.
Hey,
And
hey, Wednesday on Wednesday.
Hey, hey, hey. That's my line. It works every time I write somebody. Hey, it's Wednesday on Wednesday.
mhm.
Where's my
Hey,
money,
Jason.
punk? That's how I write people.
Thanks for having
Mark,
me on, Jason.
yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you for
Spread
being
the
here. Mark,
word.
it's obvious that your work has meant a lot to us and everybody watching. Um, you know, at the time when you were a kid, we've told the story many times, but you were outside Madison Square Garden selling photos of Kiss and just kind of guerrilla shooting. Could you
Yeah,
have thought? Could you have thought this many years later your photos would be iconic?
I really didn't. And even like 10 years, like even in like 1996, when I got approached by someone that wanted to invest in my photography to do galleries, I'm like, it's a little soon to turn these into gallery prints, you know?
Mhm.
I said, let's wait another 10 or 20 years. And that's what I did. But yeah, back when I was shooting, when I was 16, 17, I was selling them for $1 a piece. And now I'm selling at galleries for like 1,000 a piece, if not more. And so it's kind of a trip thinking that those photos that I took when I used to sneak into concerts and hustle them in front, running from the cops and getting arrested. And as the story goes, I got arrested selling my pictures in front of Kiss concert. And then I went to Circus Magazine, speaking of magazines, and that was my big break. They liked what I did, and they saw this 17-year-old kid had a lot of chutzpah, and they liked me, and they gave me a chance. And one of my first assignments was a year later with Van Halen in '79. So that's where it
Yeah.
started.
And some of those photos, there's the later years of Dave on here, and then the current Dave there. But it's amazing, like you said, how gallery prints and things have become such a big deal and have become so collectible with people and fans. And sometimes it's longevity. You've been doing this for. I don't want to age you. How long have you been a photographer now?
Well, believe it or not, my first concert was over 50 years ago.
Mhm.
It was I was 14, and it was Elton John, and I stuck my camera in to the concert, the camera that I got from mowing someone's lawn a couple years earlier when I was 12, and that was my first concert, Elton John at Madison Square Garden. So it's a half a century.
Mark, has there been times in your career when you took photos and you go, I've got nothing. There's nothing here that I could do anything with. Either the lighting was bad, the angle was bad, the crowd was bad, the band wasn't cooperating.
There's always those, but those you don't remember those, of course. It's like those shoots didn't happen, and those events didn't happen. Like when in the beginning, when I started like developing my own film, and you would take the film out and you would develop it, put it in a canister, and you put chemicals in it, and sometimes you didn't put it in great. Like I remember the Zeppelin show in '77. I opened it up, and there was like 6 frames that were kind of like smeared because it didn't get the chemicals. And it's like, oh, I wonder what those 7 frames were, So,
Mark, when I was a kid in high school, I went to see Dee Ramone. He was my favorite bass player. And I went to a place called the Bank in Lower Manhattan. And it was an actual bank, and the dressing rooms were in the vault. And his roadie at the time goes, oh, I'll bring you down to the vault and you can meet him. And so we were talking and we're hanging out, and he signed my records, and I had the old camera, probably 110, I would say.
Yeah, with the flash cube on it, right?
With the flash cube. And no one understands, if you were born modern. But anyway, we took these pictures of me and Didi Ramone playing guitar together, and he's wearing his chain and I'm wearing my chain, and we're pointing to each other. And I was like, oh my God. And we took it to the drugstore, and maybe 2 photos came out.
Oh man.
Like and it's just that feeling. And I can imagine for you, I just
Yeah.
covered this show, and you just never film. It's such a sensitive thing compared to digital now.
That's true. Yeah. It's digital is kind of the way to go. It's a lot of editing, but you get the shot and you see it. I mean, there was so much stress back then for me, like, going through the airports, getting the x-ray, taking it out, losing it, getting it to the lab. Sometimes when I travel with the bands, I'd have to get the film developed on the road, because I'd be out with them for a couple of weeks and find a lab. And so that was a process, and that took hours. So, I mean, digital is a blessing in disguise,
Oh, absolutely. And you've had so much success that at the end of the day, like you said, you don't remember the bad ones. You remember the good ones, because the good ones are going to live with you forever. You sign these pictures and you see them, and people want to share them as well. A lot of nice.
Well, like back in the day when I took pictures, like I mean, film costs, like, I guess for 36 frames, it costs maybe $30 for a roll of film and about 25, 30 to develop it. And so I would bring like 20 rolls of film, and at the end of that concert, that's like several $100s.
Mm-hmm.
But I just looked at it as like an opportunity. It's like, all right, I'm backstage with Motley Crue, with Ozzy, with Guns N' Roses. It's like, I don't care. I'm just going to shoot as much as I can. I shot a lot on spec, or most of it on spec, so I own the images. And thank God I did, because all those I keep digging back in, and I keep finding more stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of nice comments, including the Decade That Rocked book. The book's incredible. Another coffee table must. You can still order it. Is it at rockmag.com also?
Yeah, you can get it there. And the Decade That Rocked. It's it's been out for 5 years, but it's it's still selling. It's awesome. It's what I bring to events. Sometimes I go to tribute bands. There's a great Van Halen tribute band called Jump, the Jump Experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I just did a book signing, and I brought the David Lee Roth issue there too, and went on stage and chatted with the crowd. And then after the show, I met with the fans and sold a bunch of books and talked to the fans, which is what I like to do. And so that's fun. The tribute bands are amazing these days.
I put up Little Ozzy's comment, because we're talking about tribute bands. I met Little Ozzy through Mark at one of his photo things, and he said the same thing happened in one of his photos. Just didn't come out with Lemmy. I love the photo events that you do, the seminars where people can get hands-on. It's an experience to have you guide them. And I think people need it now. I think especially with digital, because the average person thinks, all I do is I hold it up and then the picture comes out. But there's something to working with the subject. There's something to working with lights, and also something in post. And I think that for people to have that time with you means a lot. I learned a little bit in my time as well with you.
Yeah, we did a little fun with over at the Munchers on the mountain. It was some good times when I had a workshop there. And where I am in my life now is like I call it my final chapter. You know what I mean? It's on the fourth quarter, and I'm 67. I'll be 67 in June, and I want to reach out, and that's why I have Rock too, because I want to reach out and find other photographers and journalists. Like when I was leaving the venue, I was interviewing fans for social media and just asking them to review the show. And this one guy named Joseph Brandon, he was just amazing. I said, "What do you do anyway? What are you studying?" He told me he was going to school, and he said journalism. And I said, "Would you like to do a review for this? I just have a bunch of photos, and I didn't think about what I'm going to do with it yet." And I said, "If you want to send me something." And in a couple of weeks, he sent me a review, and I edited it and kind of turned it into where it's at in the magazine. So all the words are of the magazine. The reviews are this 22-year-old kid who's a big fan, and it was awesome. And I also I also brought in some quotes from the bands when they spoke on stage. So I grabbed those as big little blurbs. And my friend Sherry Folio, who I used to work back in the 80s in Hit Parader and Faces and all these magazines. And she was there covering it for Burn magazine, and she interviewed a bunch of people. So I used her quotes or her interviews from a lot of the artists kind of sprinkled throughout. So it's a nice little blend of, rock journalism.
Mark, I was going to save this for the end, but I want to bring it up now. You talk about the final chapter, and everyone is going to get to the final quarter, I call it, of life. It comes in age. But you've had some health issues, and for the most part, you've kept them private. You and I have spoke that you are okay talking about things, especially with the idea of helping other people. How is your health right now?
Well, it's good and it's bad. It's good because it's, I spoke before about this. I was diagnosed with bladder cancer 2.5 years ago, and it's been a back and forth battle with it. And you just keep a steady, close eye on it. And if it gets to a certain period, then you got to act what I'm doing now. And it got to a stage 2 and it got into the muscle. And so unfortunately, in less than a couple of weeks, I'm going to have a life-changing surgery where they remove the bladder. So, but after that, it's going to be smooth sailing, and I won't have that black cloud over my head, or not as much. And, it's just something that needs to be done. And thankfully, the doctors found it and kept an eye on it before it got and spread outside the bladder, because when that happens, it's not good. It's not a good turnout. So I am fortunate for that, and I've been very positive. And you got to get checked. I caught it when I was at stage 0, and if I didn't catch it, if I didn't catch it, because my health, I felt fine the whole time. It's not like I was in pain or anything. So you just got to get checked out with everything.
How did you catch it, Mark? What gave you the sign, I got to go to a doctor, or what was the diagnosis?
Well, those aging things us men have when they get to a certain age, their prostate gets enlarged, and you have to get up a few more times that you didn't used to. So this was happening a lot, getting up to go to the bathroom. And I just said, I'm going to see my urologist. And that's when then I told him, he said it was just enlarged prostate. And I said, you know what, my uncle has bladder cancer, and his first cousin has bladder cancer. And he says, all right, maybe we should do, get a checkup on it. And they did, and they saw a little blip, and they said, don't worry about it. Then you do BCG treatments a couple times and go through the treatments. And then that didn't work. And then you do chemo for a few months. And then, that's where I landed to opt to take it out. Unfortunately, but fortunately, it's the best thing for my situation now.
And again, we're speaking about it because, Mark, you've always been, no pun intended, an open book, or open magazine if you prefer, but you also want to educate other people. If you feel something's wrong, go to the doctor. There's too many people who wait too long and have no chance, or it doesn't get caught. And a lot of positive in the comments. A lot of people love you, Mark, love your work. And we want to see you get through this. And I think I'm glad that you're public, because it can help somebody else. If one person watching goes, you know what, something doesn't feel right, I'm going to go to the doctor, it could save their life. And so you have a good team around you, Mikhail especially. You're in good hands, and you've always seemed to be in a good state of mind, as hard as it may be. And so anyway,
I am bummed about not being able to go on to the Monsters of Rock cruise, because it's the first one I missed. I've been there from the very beginning, and this one Zach's headlining, Black Label Society. Mm-hmm. And but we will have the magazines available with the Ozzy and Black Sabbath tribute to Back to the Beginning, so that will be on board. And I'll have some representatives there. I'm gonna have my girl that does my social media, Carissa. She'll be on board, kind of spreading the word and trying to get people to, educate them about the magazine and showing them around, and they'll be for sale.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's brand new. Last time we saw you on the show, we were trying to get a Kickstarter. We were trying to get this thing made. Magazines are not cheap, and it wasn't like, oh, we're asking for money. It was, you're funding this magazine that you're going to own, and I think a lot of people are getting these now, right? When do they go out?
Well, we sent them out in December, the end of December. It took a little longer than we expected, but we turned it into, I mean, we edited it down, and it was only supposed to be 55 pages, but it ended up being over 100 pages. So yeah, we're very proud of it. Mikkel did the design of every page in here. We couldn't have done it without her. Mikkel Pellicone, who's my partner in crime at Mima Publishing. And yeah, really, and there's nothing I would change in this. It's yeah. I mean, the editing of each, because like Guns N' Roses, they have like 6 pages. Slayer has a few pages. Tool has a couple pages. Like, to pick a couple pages of thousands of photos of the shows, that was the bit. But the pictures that I chose, I never posted them on social media. So these are the very first time and only place where you'll be able to see them is in the magazine. And they're really special to me. Every photo in there, I really feel that I captured. I mean, it was frustrating because usually when I'm at a show, I'll go backstage and I'll take some pictures before the band goes on and get that vibe. But it was a spinning stage, and I just had to stay put for those 10 or 11 hours, just capturing every band. It happened so quick, and I just focused on getting live images. I did get some, I went there the day before, and I got rehearsals and sound check and some, behind the scenes when the super groups did their rehearsals with Steven Tyler and Sammy Hagar. And Rudy, of course, and Jakey Lee was there. I mean, so it was, it was really cool the day before the show. And those pictures will be in there as well.
The link is right here for those who want to get it. It's also in the description. And, you take people behind the scenes of an incredible event that people will be talking about forever. Wednesday, you played on Ozfest. You had the Ozzy experience.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Couple times
behind the scenes photos.
I don't know if Jake plays guitar again. You know what I mean? I don't know. He's dealing with his own health issues. I mean, he's lucky to be alive. I mean, the man was shot, so I do speak to him occasionally, but I don't know if he'll play. That may have been the last time you see him on a stage. And if it was, you saw him go out in front of one of the biggest audiences and people who love him. You saw Nuno Betancourt and the other musicians.
Right. Yeah, they bowed to him. They bowed to him. And I love the story that Nuno tells where he was supposed to be up there with Jake. And he's like, no, I'm going to let Jake just do it. And he like left the stage and, so there was no crush and he just shined on that one.
Yeah, it's it's an event that people will talk about. And the more people miss Ozzy, we're so fortunate we had an Ozzy to talk about, but people have the magazine to go. Rudy will be here in just a bit, and we'll talk a little bit with him as well, who had quite the personal experience.
And also in this magazine, see, it originally, like if you look at the David Lee Roth issue, it's called, the theme of the magazine is where past is present. So we have the front cover of the past, and on the back cover is the present. So this is from M3. And then in the middle is the old centerfold. All right. And so, yeah, for the first half of the magazine, so we have something on Rat with an interview from Hit Parader.
Mm-hmm.
So
that Ozzy centerfold in the Ozzy issue of Ozzy at the urinal, where was that picture taken?
This was taken. I
mean, I know it's hard to.
I don't know it right offhand, but I know my friend Michael Kirk, who is the editor of Faces magazine. He was there with me, and he helped dress him up.
One of the theories was that Ozzy was going out in that outfit quite a bit, and that he might have been dressed that way when he went out to the Alamo in that legendary night, that he might have been hiding in his own sort of drag. That's what I've heard from people on that tour.
All right. Well, this outfit actually came from the Motley Crue. A lot of the stuff came from the Motley Crue because they had this trailer that they put whatever they had to in there, and they had like a little chest with, you know, girls' bras and panties. And so me and Michael went over to the bus and said, you know, can we borrow some of this stuff? You know, and they go, why? Is this for Ozzy? And I don't know if you saw at the Rainbow, there's that photo of Ozzy and Tommy Lee. Tommy's on his knees and he's like licking his leg, I think. And and Ozzy's, and this is the centerfold right here from that shot you're talking about.
So cool piece of history.
He went on stage like that too.
I believe it. This is a question that maybe you want to answer, maybe you don't want to answer. Thoughts on the Ross Halfin?
What a great photo.
Thoughts on the Ross Halfin situation? Allegedly, Ross Halfin had sold some photos that weren't his photo. Do you have any thought on it? Have you thought about it?
Oh yeah, yeah. I couldn't. It wasn't good. I mean, I was surprised he didn't like defend himself if it needed to be defended, or if it's just something he did and didn't just want to forget about it. But yeah, that's not good for anybody. You know, it's not good for any photographer, especially we're represented in the same galleries. And I don't know why I did it. I don't know if it was an honest. I don't know if it was an honest mistake. If it was an honest mistake, he should go public and say something.
I think he has so many photos, as do you. Why would you need to take credit for something you didn't shoot? I mean, it could be a mistake. Maybe you had a print. I thought I took it. Who knows? But yeah, there's not much to say. The question from Angelo, death metal. Any chance of photos of Scandinavian glam revival bands? I think that it's a new generation, probably. You know, as Mark says, he's sort of, you know, he's done it. But some of these younger bands out there, Wednesday, you probably play with a lot of these bands.
I just played with one of them.
Generation, and we need a new generation's Mark Weiss. You know, I don't think
Scandinavia has always been a place that produces this rock bands. There's a big scene for it there. It always has been.
Mark can't go to every single show. You know,
I don't want to go to every single show anymore. I just, you know, Mikkel got a house in Florida, so we've spent, you know, the last 6 months there over by St. Augustine. And love the weather, love the people there, and that's what I'm looking forward to going back to once I get better, and just enjoying life, and you know, sitting behind the computer, and like I said before, is like mentoring some people that are as hungry as I was and passionate as I was with new bands. I mean, you know, a lot of these 20-year-olds, they want to shoot Quiet Riot and they want to shoot Def Leppard and all these bands, but you know, there's no need to really. They really need to find their own band, like Youngblood. Like if someone was a starting photographer and saw someone with talent and stuck with them, then next thing you know it, you'll be that new Mark Weiss. You know, they take you with you. That's what I did. I mean, I was established early. Like a lot of the bands that I've shot weren't big when I first shot them. Of course, Ozzy was. I shot him in '81, but at that point, I had Circus Magazine behind me, hiring me. So that's always good. But bands like Motley Crue and Bon Jovi, you know, I shot them on their first album. I mean, I shot John when he was 18 years old at a raceway park, actually, in New Jersey. And then a few years later, they played. They had a band, and you know, you just stick with the bands and the vibe that you like, and you'll be successful.
Yeah, you mentoring younger photographers has been something you've said on the show. Back in the day, Niels Lozauer and all these guys, there was a competition. Everybody was gunning to be the guy. As you get older and you're already established and legendary, it's now about mentoring the youth and passing it on, or people of all ages. Maybe you were a hobbyist and you wanted to get into photography. That's where Mark's workshops, and hopefully you'll do those again at some point, because it really does mean a lot to people who want to get into this world. Let's see. I bet he photographed your buddy Blas Elias many times. Blas was on with me and Mark together. We had a fun little show. That was a crazy one. Zach came on and Fred Corey came on, and we were really just all of us. We all have that magazine experience, that we want to still live. We still want to pick up our favorite magazines. And for those musicians, and Wednesday, you as well. Do you remember the first time you saw yourself in a magazine?
Yeah. That was my band prior to Murder Dolls. But I remember Murder Dolls being on the cover of Metal Edge. That was my dream. That was my favorite magazine. And when we shot the photo, it was just going to be the typical 4-page layout for the band. And we impressed Paul so much, he gave us the cover. And I was talking a lot of shit, and he liked it and gave us the cover. And that was the greatest. My mom got to go to the grocery store and buy a couple copies of it. She had posters in the house. It was embarrassing, but it was cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. Mark, do you remember your parents, your family reaction to your photographs as they started getting popular?
They were always supportive, but my father and mother wanted me to go to college because he didn't go to college. So I did try that out for a semester. But what happened was when I went to Ramapo College, I went up there and met this band that played there. And within on the second semester, they said, we need someone to do lights. You want to, because I started taking pictures of them. They said, you want to come with me, come with the band and do a little traveling. And I said, yeah, it looks like fun. So the next thing you know, I dropped out of college and moved in with the band at their house and started traveling with them and doing lights and photos too. So I just love that experience. But my parents were very supportive. After I didn't tell my parents I dropped out of college until I got my first picture in Circus Magazine. When I went home that summer, I said, hey, by the way, I'm not going to college anymore, but I'm working for Circus Magazine. As I told them, I'm a staff photographer now. I showed them my name in the masthead, and then since then they've been very supportive. They were like, all right, screw college, go for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think with family, you have to kind of prove it because nobody's going to believe, especially then. Oh, this is a living. He's going to go take pictures of rock bands.
Right.
So amazing that it can continue this long. I texted Rudy to make sure that he has the link and that he's.
I want to grab my phone charger real quick so you guys don't lose me. So I'll be right back.
So when as soon as I got back to the beginning, I went to the museum where my picture, Sharon picked a few of my photos to be displayed amongst his gold records and his awards and whatnot. So there was only 3 photos hanging there. And one was the photo Paul Natkin took, the black and white of Randy and Ozzy, where he's holding them up. And then there was a couple of my photos. Actually, one of them was on the back cover of Rocked. This was up there in the museum. So I did that. And then I went the next day to rehearsals, and the first person I saw was Rudy, and I interviewed him, and I posted it on Instagram. It got so many views because I just said, so tell me about today. What's today? And he's like, well, what do you mean? I said, just tell me how you're feeling. And he just kind of reflected, and he got into a really great moment. And that's what's kind of started. That was the first photos and the first videos that I started taking was with Rudy, and it was just so great to see him. I've been in touch with him all these decades, and Quiet Riot and Whitesnake and Dio and anything he's been doing. And just a great guy. Everyone knows Rudy. Just one of those guys. And
oh, is Rudy in the comments? Someone said, am I missing him? Oh, hold on. I think he's in the comments. How do we get him in here?
Is he trying to get in?
Maybe. Let's take a look. I texted him, Rudy, if you're watching, take a look at your text. I didn't see him. There's so many. I can't keep up with all of it. But well, we'll look into it. Rudy said he's been here for 5 minutes and 25 seconds. Well, Rudy, we need you here. Let me text him again. Let's see.
Or email. Why don't you email him the link?
Yeah, let's. He got it because he told me he had it last night, but we're gonna make sure he has it in text, and then we'll make sure he has it in email. And Rudy's been on many times, so he knows how to do it. Let's see.
While you're waiting, I'll show you some of the spreads.
Yes, please.
One out there. Actually, this is when Ozzy came out, right in the beginning, from the floor in the magazine. And let's see.
Oh, here he is. Hold on. There's Wednesday, and we're going to get Rudy. Look at that.
What else we got here?
Rudy's just getting situated. He'll be here in a second.
All right.
All right. He looks like he's ready. Let's welcome Rudy Sarzo. Rudy, how are you?
I'm great. Yeah, I was listening to you guys because the link that you sent me originally took me to watch this. Not this link. This is a different link that I just got.
Rudy got the show link. I understand.
Yeah.
You got the link for people to watch it. Although I hope you enjoyed watching for a little while.
I sure did.
But we wanted to see you and talk, and we've been talking about you
Yeah. Oh no, I know. I've been listening, but.
Uh-oh. He disconnected. I think he just closed it by accident, but he'll be back. This is what happens when you have live internet.
Yeah, let's.
You have a live internet. He'll be back. I saw he had his rock magazine. He was probably caught up reading.
He just got it. Yeah. Yeah. So Rudy was playing with Steven Tyler and Ronnie Wood. Amazing.
Oh, here it is.
Okay, I'm back. I'm back.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like something weird with StreamYard that I can only get. I can't get rid of the browser. I'm trying. Let me try something else here. Nope, I can't. Yeah, it's like working on. I'm doing it on my iPhone.
Well,
So it's just.
It looks good.
Yeah. But you guys now look like this big.
Oh, you can't see us.
Oh, no, I see you, but it's shrunk because it's part now of the browser. It's not by itself in StreamYard. It's got I got all this different stuff going on, but that's okay. How you guys doing? Look at what I've been reading.
That's
Rudy's
it.
catch
All
up
right.
magazines. Rudy, can you remember the first time you saw yourself in a magazine?
Well, I did not see myself in a magazine, but I read about myself. It was a circus magazine, and I believe that Mark was the photographer. It was Circus Magazine, and Ozzy did the interview the day that I joined the band, and so they're asking him about who's in the band now, and he goes, well, Randy Rhoads from Quiet Riot, and Tommy Aldrich, from Black Oak, and Pat Travers, and Rudy from Cuba. He didn't even know my last name. I just joined the band. So he was a Rudy, and he's from Cuba. So that's it.
I didn't know about that. That's hysterical. That's so Ozzy.
Yeah, but I think it's your photo because he's wearing a pink tutu on the cover.
Oh yeah, that's the pink tutu cover. I got that. Yeah.
That's the one.
I'm gonna have to read that.
We're gonna
Rudy's from Cuba.
Did your family collect it? Your magazines and your pictures?
Yeah, my mom, but she did not read English at the time, and but she tried. She actually read my book, which is written in English, and And she did it page by page, and she would take the dictionary to see what a word meant and everything. I mean, that was a labor of love for her to be able to read my book. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Did she tell you, Rudy, you didn't remember this right?
Well, I mean, because the book was written about things that she was not present to experience, you know.
More, yeah, more your music career. So she didn't
Yeah,
have,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah, she
yeah.
didn't have something to compare. We talked about earlier that you're at this event. You never thought you would be on that stage again, you know, and part of this tribute. Was there a part of you that thought maybe one day I would do it?
Oh no, no, because I mean, before I got the text from Tom Morello, I did not know that this was even in the works. Yeah, it took about 2 years to bring it to July 5th of 2025. So it was in the works for a while, but it wasn't until like November of 24 that I got the text and became aware of it with very limited information. Basically, that it was going to be in Birmingham and the date, and that's it. And if I was available to make it up, and I got it in a text, and I immediately replied and say, yes, of course I'll be there. Yeah.
Do you remember when you get to the event the first time you see Ozzy again?
Yes, I do. The whole thing was completely unforgettable. But it was kind of like a flow to it. First you get to Birmingham and you get to the hotel, and the first person that I ran into was Tom Morello in the lobby with his son. And we sat down and we talked, and then we started rehearsing the following day, and it was a flow. And then there was a photo session with most of the people that were there already to rehearse. And because a lot of the acts did not get until they were not present for sound check, and because they were touring in Europe at the time, so they just got in right in the morning of the show to perform, and that's why they were not part of the big photo session that Rose Halfin did. And there was a certain flow as the more you talk to people and you met them. I made some lifelong friends there that I had never met before. And I mean, friends that were going to be friends of mine for the rest of my life, whatever years are left. But it was wonderful. It was more of a love fest. I went there with my main goal was to thank Ozzy and Sharon for giving me my break in my career, taking Randy's recommendation. I mean, Randy is the one who put his own reputation on the line by recommending me to them, and they did it. The three of them just were so important. Incredible. I mean, they were like the main people in my career. Without them, we wouldn't be having this conversation. And it's really interesting because, when Randy died, there was a certain time of a kind of like heartbreak that I had when it happened. That lasted. I mean, I'm still heartbroken from it, but it wasn't until I was able to put it down on paper when I wrote the book, to finish a book, and I was able to take that weight of all of the emotions that I experienced, from his passing, that I got closure. And when a friend of mine texted me that actually giving me condolences, and then I say, why? Who passed away? And of course, he was in New York, and I had just gotten up, and it was Ozzy's passing. Immediately, I went into the same gloom, and it was different than Randy, because when Randy passed away, it just happened. There wasn't because he was ill, he was going through, through certain, he was on medication or anything like that, which is Randy was fine. We did a show the night before, and then he died from this plane crash. With Ozzy, we were not expecting him to pass, especially after his incredible performance. It was miraculous, his performance. at the back to the beginning with both his solo band and Black Sabbath. And the feeling from the musicians that were there watching it was like, wow, maybe he still can go on and tour. Maybe he'll do a residency here and there. We were not thinking about, well, he's going to pass away, in a few weeks. That was like the last thing in our mind. So when it did happen, it was like, boom. We were not ready for it. I wasn't ready for it. And I went into the same gloom as that I had experienced with Randy. And I'm trying to figure it out because I'm saying, well, I can't get rid of this feeling. And even though I knew that he was ill and, he wasn't doing well. So, and then I realized that the reason I was feeling like that is because just like Randy Rhoads, he was responsible for who I am today as a musician. 3 people, Randy, Ozzy, and Sharon.
When you saw Ozzy at that event, how long had it been since you'd seen him prior?
I used to run into him out here in the Malibu area. I live like 15 minutes from Malibu, and he was staying in Malibu, and then he was staying, like in Calabasas, Hidden Hills area, and I would run into him. But it wasn't until they moved permanently to the UK that I hadn't seen him. So I would say maybe 7 years.
And was it like old times?
Yeah, but the only time that I actually got to spend with him was at the photo shoot, and you could tell that he was kind of like saving his energy because he was rehearsing with 2 bands under his condition, and he had just gotten off the medication, so he could be, focused on what he was doing. So you could tell that he was kind of like, he was sitting there at the throne, and everybody was gathering, and he was in good spirits. He was funny. He was cracking jokes and all of that. But you could tell that, he was trying to keep his energy in check, just so he could save it for more rehearsals that he was doing, because that photo shoot was on Thursday. Then we had sound check on Friday, and then Saturday was the show. And so Ozzy had more time to rehearse and put the energy into that, and then the performance. So yeah. But I was able to tell him and Sharon face to face, thank you, show my gratitude, and share some moments that we had experienced. Because it so happened that July 4th was their wedding anniversary, and my wife and we were present at the wedding, and in Maui in 1982. And besides from Ross Halfin, Ozzy and Sharon, my wife and me, we were the only people that were there in Maui for their wedding, out of everybody that had been performing, Mm-hmm. And so that was special. And then also July 4th was the first time that we played that version of the band, played it in a stadium for the Bill Graham A Day on the Green, 1981. And that was like our biggest show up to that moment in 1981, July 4th, because we were on a bill with some heavyweights, and we just came on like around 10:45 in the morning. We were like a last minute addition. And we did so well that we finished the half hour that they had given us, and we were in our dressing room changing, and Bill Graham runs in and says, "Man, you guys got to go back on stage. Everybody's going ape shit." And so there's photos of Randy wearing his street pants because he already had taken his clothes off, and stage clothes. And there's like all these theories about why is Randy wearing different pants on these photos? What happened? And people, they think, oh, he torn his pants and then he changed. No, actually what happened was that we didn't have time to get back into our stage clothes. So he just wore his stage pants, and then he just put back the little vest that he wore, when he played. That was it.
Yeah. It's amazing. Zach Wilde was on with us last time. Mark was here. We were talking about the magazine, and he said what many people said. We just assumed you'd see Ozzy next week, that he wasn't
Yep.
done. But at the end of the day, Ozzy Osbourne is one of the few people who wrote their own ending. He went out on top, and it seemed like with every bit of energy he had left in his body, he left it on that stage and gave people that memory, and had moments with yourself and others to just sort of give you some closure, to say thank you, and to see him. And no one can prepare for death. We wanted Ozzy with us forever, but to have
Yeah.
those moments, I know means a lot to you and to everyone.
It means everything. I mean, I first of all, I think that everybody should go out that way. If you're a major band who has been influential to many others, you owe that. You owe that to the people you inspire, to have them collect, gather, and make it a celebration. Just don't fade out. Just do what Ozzy did. Go out in a blaze of glory.
I mean, when he went on, when I was like waiting for him in the photo pit, and I knew he was going to come out under the stage, so I kind of went stage center, and I stood on something, and when I saw him first appear, I mean, it looked like from back in the day when I first started shooting him. He just looked awesome. The lighting was great. It was like natural light, and then it all just fell into place. And then I went on the platform with all the film cameras, and I was literally like 12 feet away from him, 10, 12 feet. And I just couldn't keep my lens off him because I didn't want to miss anything. I knew it was a short set, and I just wanted to get any expression. And I got the other guys in the band too, but I just wanted to stay on Ozzy, and he was just an amazing performer. I mean, it was like, he wanted to get himself off that throne so bad. I mean, he lifted himself up. One of my photos, he's lifting himself up, and you can tell he's. I think he was like strapped in, so he couldn't like fall or anything. So
yeah.
But who knows if maybe he could have stood up and
it seemed like it
around. I was.
He wanted it.
Yeah.
It seemed like he wanted it, and his adrenaline. Just to be there. My friend was booking, he was on my show, Sean, he was booking Ozzy's last appearances, including the convention that he did a week later. And Ozzy enjoyed talking to the fans. He was always a nice guy when it came to fans, but he enjoyed people telling him that, because he wishes he was still on stage. So at least to have people tell him what they meant to him. I know that he expressed to me that was important to Ozzy, that he liked seeing people's faces. It's not just being on stage. I can talk to these people for even a minute and give them something. I think there was a lot in Ozzy's final chapter. I think there's a lot of he fixing things and dealing with things, and it really seems like he did. And he lives forever. Ozzy will never not be in our lives. There'll always be reminders of him and that amazing final performance.
Yeah, when you mentioned final chapter, what came to mind is what you just said right now, that he will live forever. There's not going to be a moment in our lives that he's not in it.
Mm-hmm. True. Yeah. I mean, we'll always see him the way he is, and we'll remember him. This magazine, I mean, we'll remember this Ozzy. There's no sad old Ozzy. This is the guy that went out. And I know it means a lot to fans. And I'm so glad, Mark, that you were able to document this event, and Rudy, that you were able to partake in it, because you were such an important part of Ozzy's career. So many people listened to the tribute album, and just a lot of people were turned on to Ozzy for the first time at that.
Yeah, it's like, if you take a look at this photo, it does not look like somebody who's going to pass away 2 weeks later from natural causes due to his health condition.
I mean, that was literally the last image of Ozzy that they actually, Sharon loved it so much that she added that to the museum, which is still up there. And as it turned, he had to stay out there, and he had to wait for it to turn. And his last thing, he did the hands up and smile to the audience. And I was just so thankful to be there and just to stay on it.
Yeah. What a blessing. What a blessing to us to have been born into a generation that we could still enjoy Black Sabbath, Ozzy as a solo artist, and and get to, in my case, get to perform with him and live with him. I wasn't just in the band; I was living with those guys. Oh, I am so blessed.
It sounds cliche sometimes, but you don't take life for granted. Don't take your health for granted. Mark, we spoke earlier about your health situation and trying to educate other people. Get tested. If you feel something's not right, go take a look at it. You could save your life. And Mark, you're saving lives by telling your story. Ozzy as well. These are things that we only have so long. No one knows the exact number.
Absolutely.
And we live as best we can. And if you live in a time when things become too stressful, you can always push those things aside because there's a lot of good in this world.
Yeah. You know what? And from losing Randy back, 44 years ago, that's one thing that I learned is you have to play, you have to live life like there's no tomorrow. There's no guarantee.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I could have said it better. I want to make sure that people check out Rocked magazine. I've got them all on my table, but these are the two most current. Yeah, I've got that one too. That's a great one.
Rudy's in that first one. That
yes, I am.
But so Rudy, what did you think of the Rocked? What did you think of the?
Oh, it's a wonderful layout. I mean, it's so balanced. I mean, it's got everybody in it. I think it's a must-have magazine for any rock fan. So I highly recommend it.
All right.
The link is in the description, rockmag.com.
Yeah.
And Rudy, quite right this year, right? With the train, the crazy train keeps on rolling.
The the wheels still on. So it keeps on rolling. Can I say hello to Wednesday?
Of course. Sorry.
Wednesday, yeah. I was hanging with Mike Ducky. What was this? Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Hanging with him and his family. And we were talking about you. So I'm glad to meet you virtually here.
Nice to meet you too. Big fan.
Okay. Well, big fan of you guys too.
Oh,
Wednesday
awesome,
Wednesday kind of stayed out of the way.
I'm just listening, gathering all the information.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
When I was first watching this, I couldn't tell who was who because you guys look like twins.
Yeah, right.
We're triplets. Mark Weiss too. But anyway, I again so thankful. Check Rudy out on the road, and Mark. We wish you the best with first of all with the magazine. The magazine continues. People order it. If you're on the cruise, go pick one up. Support this because we're losing our favorite things like magazines. So go out and support it. And Mark, we wish you the best with your health. We thank you for being honest. And when the time is right, I hope that you'll come back and let us see that you're doing well because we're all thinking about you.
I appreciate it. And thanks, Rudy, for coming on. Thanks, Wednesday, for co-hosting. And yeah, it was fun.
All right. We'll see everybody again. And again, we thank you so much. We're really some interesting conversation that we all got to hear tonight. So thank you. Bye-bye.
Just wanna waste some time with you.